The night I died didn't feel like death at first. It felt like quiet and unnatural. Heavy kind of quiet that slowly wrapped itself around me, until even the sound of my own heartbeat slipped away. I remember lying there in that hospital bed, looking up at the ceiling tiles, thinking the worst thing I could lose was time. But I was wrong. The worst thing you can lose is your chance to tell people you're still here. When my heart stopped, I didn't feel pain. One felt absence, like a door shutting in the distance, like someone turning the world's volume knob all the way down. The beeping of the monitor slowed, then flattened out into one long note. A sound I'd heard in movies but never thought I'd hear for myself. The room shifted. Someone gasped. Someone whispered, no response. And then, time of death. 2:47 a.m. If I could have spoken, I would have told them, don't you dare call time on me yet. But my lips wouldn't move. My breath didn't come. I was trapped inside a body that wasn't listening to me anymore. I could hear them though. That was the cruelest part. 2 nurses stood beside me. One of them gently closed my eyes with her fingertips. Poor woman, she murmured. She fought so hard. The other sighed. I wish someone had been here for her. That broke something inside me, not because I was scared, but because it wasn't true. My daughter did love me. My grandbabies adored me. Life had just shaken us all in different directions. Love was there. It just wasn't present in that room at that moment. I wanted to scream, I'm not alone. I'm not gone. But there was nothing. My voice stayed locked behind my teeth. They began disconnecting the wires from my skin. The cold air touched places that had been warm moments ago. I felt the sheet pulled up over me. Chest, shoulders, neck, face, darkness. I expected peace, comfort, maybe a soft drifting feeling. But all I felt was separation, like. I was sliding farther and farther from the world I wasn't ready to leave. My mind was awake. My soul was awake. Only my body had given up. Transport to the morgue is on the way, someone said. They lifted me, rolled me onto another gurney. The wheels rattled beneath me as they pushed me down a long hallway. The sound vibrated through the metal bed and into my bones, the only proof I had left that my body still existed. When the elevator doors opened, I felt an even colder air rise around me. Not the cold of a draft. The cold of finality. The morgue. The doors creaked open with a long, heavy groan. That's when terror seeped in, not for death, but for the possibility of being alive, where no living person was meant to be. Because the moment that morgue door closed behind me, something inside me refused to stay dead. The morgue is not a place meant for the living. Even with my eyes closed beneath that zipped body bag, I could feel the change, instantly, the way the air shifted from sterile hospital warmth to a cold that felt older, deeper, permanent. The kind of cold that doesn't just touch your skin, it settles into your soul. The metal table they placed me on burned through me like ice. I couldn't shiver, couldn't gasp, couldn't react. My body stayed still, obedient to the lie the world believed that I was dead. But inside, my thoughts were screaming loud enough to crack the walls. I heard the 2 attendants talking above me. This one's fresh, one muttered, flipping through paperwork. Cardiac arrest, 7. Family. None listed. That word again? None. It felt heavier in that room filled with steel drawers, as if the morgue itself swallowed up the idea of family, memory, legacy, all the things that define a person while they're still warm. If only I could have spoken, I would have told them, I have family. I have people who love me. I'm not a nobody these labels make me out to be. But breath wouldn't come. Sound wouldn't form. I remained silent, a prisoner inside my own shell. Bag her and tag her. We'll sort the paperwork in the morning. Bag, tag, store. Words meant for objects, not for a woman who spent her life fighting, loving, surviving. But that's how death works in places like that. Turns people into tasks, into procedures, into numbers. I felt them lift my foot. The cold sting of the toe tag being tied on, my name printed neatly, my birth date, and beneath it, the word that stole the air from the room even though I wasn't breathing. Asterisk, asterisk, deceased. It didn't matter that I could still hear. It didn't matter that I was aware. Their papers said I was dead, so the world believed it. The men talked a bit more about lunch, about schedules, about going home. Not about me. Not about the fact that I'd lived 74 long, hard, beautiful years. I was just another body on a table. Then the door opened, closed. Their footsteps faded, and I was left alone. The silence in that morgue was different from hospital silence. In the hospital, silence has hope and a toe pause between breaths or beeps. But the morgue, its silence has a finality, a heaviness. It presses down on you like a second sheet. If I could have cried, I would have. Not for myself, but for every person who'd ever lain in that room without someone to speak their name out loud. I focused every ounce of my awareness on trying to move even the smallest part of my body. A finger, a toe, anything. But my body stayed still as stone. I felt trapped in a darkness beyond ice, at a darkness, built from steel and certainty. And yet, somewhere deep in that cold, something inside me stirred. Something small, something stubborn, something alive. Because even in that silent room of death, the first spark of life inside me was about to wake up. At first, I thought it was memory, some echo of the life I'd lived replaying inside my mind. A warm kitchen, my daughter laughing, my grandson's small hand wrapped around my finger. But then the feeling changed. It wasn't memory. It wasn't imagination. It was something physical. Something happening inside the body they had already declared gone. A spark. The tiniest flicker deep in my chest, like someone tapping on a door from the inside. It wasn't painful, not at first. It was subtle enough that if I'd been truly dead, I would never have noticed it. But I felt it, clear as day. Clear as hope. Then came another. This one stronger. Like a small jolt of electricity racing through a half-frozen wire. It didn't move my body, didn't open my eyes, but it lit something inside me. A warmth, a pressure, a reminder that my story wasn't finished. And then, a breath, not a full one, not the kind that fills your lungs. It was a thin, ragged inhale, like the world was forcing a thread of air back into me. But that tiny thread burned hotter than fire. My chest lifted just barely, but in that silence, it felt like a thunderstorm. Air inside my lungs. I wanted to weep, but my eyes wouldn't open yet. My throat felt like sand, dry and cracked. My tongue felt like stone, but the fog inside the bag shifted. A small patch of plastic above my lips warmed and misted over. Proof, I was breathing. Another breath fought its way in, shaky, uneven, stubborn. Each inhale felt like a battle I was both losing and winning at the same time. My ribs ached. My chest stung, but the pain meant life. The pain meant I hadn't crossed that final line. I felt my fingers tingle. A strange, prickling sensation crawled through them. As if waking from the deepest sleep, I pushed barely. My fingertip brushed the cold table beneath me. It was quiet. So quiet it almost broke me. I pushed again. Inside the bag, my hand moved. Not much, just a jerk. But to me, it felt like lifting a mountain. My chest drew in another breath, louder, harsher. A rasping sound scraped through the bag. The plastic shifted. A whisper of movement echoed into the room. I didn't know if anyone was near enough to hear it. I didn't know if anyone would even return before morning. A horrifying thought slid into my mind. What if they don't find me before my breaths run out? But I kept trying. My wrist twitched again. My arm slid half an inch. The body bag brushed the steel table and made the faintest scratching sound that did not belong in a room meant for the dead. Each breath built on the last. Each movement a desperate knock on the door between life and death. And somewhere in the hallway, faint and distant, I heard footsteps, slow, dragging, growing closer. I wasn't sure if it was real or imagined, but I prayed it was someone living, because those footsteps belonged to the one person who would hear what no one else was, listening for a dead woman breathing. Later, Maria told me she wasn't even supposed to be on that floor. Her shift had ended 15 minutes earlier. She had clocked out, grabbed her jacket, and made it halfway to the parking lot before she realized she'd left her phone charging in the staff room near the morgue. She almost didn't go back for it. She was tired, frustrated, and ready to be home. But something nudged her. A small voice inside her said, "Go back, Sometimes miracles begin with the simplest annoyances." Her footsteps tapped slowly down the basement hallway. That inside the morgue. Inside a bag on a steel table. I was fighting for every thin, precious breath. I heard the door creak open, loud to my trapped ears. Her shoes scuffed lightly against the floor as she entered. I could feel her presence the way you can feel a warm body walk into a cold room. She wasn't close to me, not yet. She was on the other side, grabbing her phone, sighing at the fatigue in her bones. She already had her hand on the door handle to leave. Then, a sound. She froze. Her ears sharpened. She wasn't even sure she heard it. It was soft, muffled, far too faint for a room full of the dead. But she heard it again. A rasp. A faint, shaky inhale. A whisper of plastic moving. Her heart hammered in her chest. "No," she whispered to herself. "No, that's not possible." She took one step back inside. Just one. Her eyes scanned the dimly lit room. She swallowed hard. "Is someone here?" Of course no one answered. Not in words. But I answered the only way I could. Another breath forced itself into my lungs, louder this time, scraping against the dry walls of my throat. The body bag lifted just a fraction. Maria's eyes widened. She stepped toward me cautiously, as if any sudden movement might wake something she didn't want to wake. Her hand trembled as she leaned closer, staring at the shape beneath the bag. Then she saw it. The plastic near my mouth fogged. Just slightly. Just enough. "No," she whispered, her voice shaking. No, that can't be." She leaned down, putting her ear close to the bag. Ha 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 ha. She jerked backward, stumbling into a metal cart behind her. The noise clanged loudly, but I didn't stop breathing. I couldn't stop now. My body was clawing its way back. "That's breathing," she whispered. Oh my God, that's breathing." She rushed to the side of the table, fingers fumbling desperately for the zipper. Her hands were shaking so badly she missed the pull the first 2 times. When she finally grasped it, she yanked it down so fast the cold morgue air rushed into the bag like freedom. My face came into view, still, eyes shut, but undeniably alive. Maria slapped her hand over her mouth and choked on a sob. "Sweet Jesus. She's alive." She didn't walk, she ran. Burst through the door. Her scream echoed down the hallway. "Help! Somebody help! She's alive in here." Chaos erupted the moment Maria's scream hit the hallway. Her voice carried like a siren through the quiet, graveled basement floors. I couldn't see anything clearly yet. My eyes were heavy slits, barely letting in shapes and shadows, but I could hear everything. Footsteps pounding, voices overlapping, shock rippling through the staff like a wave. "She's alive. That's impossible. Get a crash cart. Call the attending. Get rest." Hands surrounded me, warm, frantic, purposeful. Someone lifted my head slightly. Someone else pressed fingers against my neck. I felt oxygen prongs pushed into my nose, the coolness of the air flooding into me like life itself. My chest rose, this time with more strength, more certainty. A doctor leaned close, disbelief thick in his voice. We've got a pulse. God, help me. She actually has a pulse. They wheeled me up fast, the wheels squealing on the tile. The elevator door slammed shut and opened again in seconds. My vision was blurry, just bright lights above me, streaking across my line of sight like comets. Voices kept talking around me. Medical terms I couldn't catch, panic mixed with awe. And then, a voice I knew, faint, trembling, breaking in the middle like she'd run through a storm to get to me. Mama, if my heart had stopped again right then, it would have been from hearing my daughter's voice crack like that. She pushed past a nurse, nearly dropping her purse, her hands shaking so hard she could barely touch me. Mama, it's me, she cried. I'm here. I'm here. I'm so sorry, God. I'm so sorry. Her fingers wrapped around mine, warm and desperate. I tried to squeeze back. My hand barely moved, but it moved enough. She gasped, falling against the bed rails. Mama, you're alive. You're alive. The doctors watched with wide eyes, some whispering theories, others simply standing in stunned silence. No amount of medical explanation could untangle what happened. My body had been still, my breath gone, my pulse absent. I'd been declared dead, tagged, sent to the morgue. And yet, I came back. Later, when the rush settled, a doctor sat by my bedside. He looked exhausted, shaken in a way that went beyond science. Mrs. Carter, he said quietly, in all my years, I've never seen anything like this. You were gone, and then you weren't. I couldn't speak then, but I wanted to tell him what I knew in my bones, that sometimes God closes a door not to end your story, but to show you He can reopen it whenever He chooses. When my daughter finally rested her head gently beside my arm, her tears soaking the blanket, I realized something. Death hadn't taken anything from me, but life had given something back. A second chance, a louder purpose, a testimony no one could deny. And every grandchild I'd hold again, every sunrise I'd see, every passing moment, would carry the echo of the breath that wasn't supposed to happen. The breath that told the world,